Well, howdy there, Pipe Pals. How y'all doing? Old Holy Smoking Pipe Padre saying greetings and good evening. Good evening. Kind of a different background, yes. Well, you know what's kind of funny? It looks like it's kind of nighttime, and in some ways it is late afternoon. Maybe I'll just pan over here and show you the outside there. There's my outside. You can see it's still pretty well daylight. Yes indeed. And stay close to the candlelight. The stairs, they can be treacherous. A line from one of my favorite movies. And it only took me several years to figure out why that was so funny. Okay, I am smoking my corncob, my wonderful, beautiful little Dunhill corncob. Did I say corncob? Cherrywood. Cherrywood. Yes, Cherrywood. That I got about 4 years ago at the Briar Patch. The now defunct Arden Fair Mall Briar Patch. And it's smoking in some Captain Cool, a McClelland's blend. And again, a little shout out to Miss Tanya in Deutschland for introducing me to this rather nice tobacco. Very nice indeed. Still waiting for that Annandale flake coming in, old Grandpa Cavendish. Ed, good to see you. Thank you again for your gifts, the corncob pipe and the Annandale flake. Ordered that like almost 2 months ago, and it's back ordered, and really not too happy with the fact that it's not here yet. Ow, a little sore, been working out. Okay, wow, this is good. I'm trying to remember what it reminds me of. And I have in my Baum holder coffee cup that I got when I was a 135 Armored Chaplain. And let's see, I'm going on almost 23-hour fast here. And probably have my dinner about 6 o'clock-ish, a little bit, about an hour and 15 minutes from now. But tonight is kind of like my my Friday. And so I thought I'd just treat myself. Yeah, treat myself to making a video to you. Smoking a pipe. It has gotten extremely warm here in Chico. And I knew these days were coming. And I'm trying to just say, you know what? I'm not going to let the heat bother me. I'm just not. And you know what? I went for a walk today, 3-mile walk today. Might even go for another 2-mile walk today. Might even, if I'm really up to it, I'm definitely going to run tomorrow, if not tonight. I'm going to challenge myself to do that. It's been interesting. I've been having a lot of running dreams. And just the other day, though, I did do a little bit of a 1/4-mile run, which was kind of got the old heart going, and that felt really good. So I'm thinking about really taking advantage of the heat, getting good sweats, working up about 2-3 times a week, and finishing that part of my routine. The diet's dialed in, the body weight exercises are dialed in. Eventually, I probably will start another TSC challenge. But anyway, I'm just feeling really, really good and confident. I've been in the zone for the last month and maybe, well, I guess it's been almost 10 days. So it's been about 40 days since I've been really going to town. Let's see, here's my little prescription here. I started this on April 20th. Let you read that. No, can you read that, or is that all backwards? That looks like it's all backwards, huh? I'm sorry, that's all backwards. It says, top of the list, no sugar. I gotta get my glasses on here to read this. Sorry about that. What's happening to get old? 2 paleo meals a day. I try to make it basically one. My modified Ed exercises. My buddy Ed, the triathlete guy, who's like 64 years old, phenomenal, amazing. Looks like he's 38. I call those my modified Ed exercises. He turned me on to those probably about almost, well, it'll be 2 years this December. And I do those 3 days a week. Basically, it's a three circuit, three sets of push-ups, pull-ups, squats, dips, and planks, and also some leg raises as well. Walk every morning. That's what I try to do. I pretty much have been really consistent with that, and no eating at night. And the other thing that I'm kind of added to this now is no fruit. No fruit. Last year, although I was doing the TSC challenge, I was doing CrossFit. Maybe some of you remember that. Yep, I did that for almost 6 months. Didn't kill me. Enjoyed it quite a lot. Loved the energy of CrossFit. I love the people that I met at CrossFit. Just awesome. And they do have CrossFit, I've been told, here in Chico. I think they have, in fact, if those of you who know the name Rob Wolf is one of the very first paleo kind of personalities. And he was associated with the CrossFit, or supposedly a CrossFit-esque gym up here in Chico. I don't know if he moved away from here or if he's anyway, long story short, I'm not sure if they actually have a quote-unquote CrossFit or they have a CrossFit-like gym. There's one out in the outskirts. And they've advertised, I forgot the name of them, they said the Chico's only hardcore gym, meaning I think it's like a CrossFit kind of a gym, but I don't know if it's actually the actual CrossFit franchise. I did see, as I was driving up here many times, the Feather River CrossFit group. They were a bona fide CrossFit affiliate, but that's almost 45 miles away. And again, I'm not going to drive 45 miles every day or every other day. I just can't afford it. I mean, time-wise, money-wise, I just can't afford that. I have to have something local. So the only reason why I'm saying I don't know if we have an actual CrossFit here is only because there was a rumor, people said we had Whole Foods up here, which I was like going, okay, that's going to be awesome, because where I was at, we had the Nugget Market, which was kind of a lot like Whole Foods, just great food, great produce. And I really miss Nugget Markets. Well, I came up here thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have to say goodbye to Nugget, but I'm going to say hello to Whole Foods, which is like, okay, that's a great trade-off. Got up here, they don't have Whole Foods. They said, well, we have a whole food type market called S&S. And I went, and I actually went there about 2 weeks ago. And I don't want to say anything disparaging about S&S. It was okay, but it was a very small store, and it just wasn't on the same scale as Nugget Market, so I was a little bit disappointed. Man, this is really, truly, it's sweet. It's delicious, I think. You know what? It lives up to its name. It's cool. It is Captain Cool, but it's very, very nice. And it is a premium aromatic. You know, don't be taken in by the name because it's true. I don't know why I mean. I don't know what do I mean by I say that. It actually is. You know, some people buy things based upon names. That's an interesting concept, maybe. You know, people name pipe tobaccos, and you know, you kind of wonder. Now, sometimes it's, I guess they're, you know, you can say, you know, something's in English or something's in aromatic, but again, Captain Cool aromatic. Okay, so what was it that prompted the person that blended this tobacco or mixed this tobacco to call it Captain Cool? Don't you wonder? I would guess that maybe it reminded him maybe of Captain Black, but it was maybe but smoked cooler. I don't know. I'm just assuming there. So your guess is as good as mine. There's a little bit different background for me. I'm in here in my dining room now, and I always used to like to go into the dining room at Good Shepherd because it's big. It was a big, huge room. When Father Leon was gone on vacation, I had the whole house to myself, and you know, once in a while, you know, you could get away with smoking in the dining room, and it was no big deal. Not that I didn't want to smoke in my room, but again, just a change of backgrounds and just kind of a change of atmosphere for me. And although this is smaller, which is fine, I'm only one person here, but it's a smaller version of what Good Shepherd is. So I thought, you know, I remember my summertime videos, I would make them in the dining room. Now, the only problem is we get the morning sun, but it's on the other side, and then we get the evening sun, kind of like Good Shepherd, but again, we have an awning out here, so we don't get a lot of sunlight that comes in during the day, so it's kind of dark in here. That's why I have some overhead lights on. And this little background light too. So it might lend itself to more of an evening looking video when, and again, it is getting late in the day, but it's not as nighttime as it might appear to be in the video. Well, not a whole lot to talk about today. I mean, there's a couple things I really would like to talk about. I'm going to talk about both of them. Again, they're not really pipe related per se. But the two things I guess I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about I'll talk about the one I really want to talk about. I'll talk about that one last because I really just have to say I was amazed at something yesterday evening. And those of you who probably can maybe figure out what I might be talking about will go, yeah, absolutely, that was amazing. Just got through watching the Worldwide Developer Contractors Conference or whatever, you know, the Apple WWDC 15. I wanted to, about 3 to 4 years ago, I really started thinking about trying to break into that next level, what I call my Apple addiction, and start to learn how to do some programming, developing apps. You know, and there were a couple apps that I had that I thought would be really, really good, but they would be more designed for Padres. And then what happened was they had iBooks Author come out, which made me think, well, what I really wanted to do was design a Catholic book that I could take with me on my iPad, and so I could use that as like a portable, what we call as an altar missal. Now, some of you who are wondering, well, what in the heck are you talking about? What's an altar missal? Is that like a Nike missile? Is that like a Poseidon missile? Is that like a Tomahawk missile? You know, is that a cruise missile? No, no, it's not a weapon. It's not a weapon system. It's basically it's the books, the what you would probably call the prayer books that a priest uses to say mass. And you say, well, don't you have a book? Well, yes, we have books, but after a while, especially when you're traveling, there was an idea that, okay, I could take with me just this app, because sometimes a book can be pretty thick, and at least the ones that came out were really super thick and bulky and big, and you know, if you're traveling, you don't want to take big, bulky things with you. And now with the advent of, you know, the internet, you can pretty much download current texts for the day. And so all I need is just what the basic Mass prayers are, what we call the Eucharistic prayers. And so if I was able to synthesize just the basic Mass prayer number 2, which is what most people use today and are accustomed to, then you just have that with you, and then you can download the readings for the day, and Bob's your uncle. Sally's your aunt. Okay? So at first I was going to try to do an app, an actual app for that other Padres could actually download, and maybe I could have even gotten some royalties on it. I don't know. I wasn't planning that far ahead. I just was trying to find a utility app that I could either design or make or whatever, so I could take it with me wherever I went. Because when I do travel, I like to still celebrate Mass. And so I thought this would be perfect. Then I don't have to take different books with me, which I normally would do on vacation, or if I was traveling. So anyway, that being said, I was thinking about going down that avenue, and I was intrigued by the skill development kit toolkit that Apple was putting out for developers. So I was really interested in designing apps, but I never took that next level. Some other things came up in my life, and you know, when you're learning something new, especially software-related things, and you know, especially, you know, there's a big learning curve. You really have to sit down for, you know, days and weeks just to learn what's going, you know, how to really create something using these new programs. In addition to that, you probably have to learn some basic, you know, maybe some web design language as well. So anyway, I just knew that it was going to be a new can of worms, and I although I wanted to do it, I never did cross that threshold. You know, I have probably I wouldn't say a couple hundred apps, but well, who knows? I have a lot of apps on my phone, and to be honest with you, I mean, to be totally honest, I don't think I use them all that much. I mean, once in a great while, they might come in and be handy for a function here or there, but they're not like daily things. Now, the things that I do use are the music, the texting. That's all day thing, texting. Certainly the phone features, of course. The email app, you know, the Safari and or the Mail app. The camera, the audio things I want to record something, notes. Sometimes notes has been very handy. Pages, and yeah, Pages is usually very handy when I have to do minutes. If I have to take minutes, like I had to do back at the other parish, and then you know, there are just some apps. You know, I used to have a friend who used to travel a lot, and I had a couple of real-time flight programs that could tell you when the plane was getting ready to leave and when it was going to leave, when it took off, and what the flight time was and when the arrival time was, and just, that was really a cool app. But for the most part, and there was also another app that I use from time to time called Magnificat, which does have, I think it does have, actually, when I think about it now, and it has the readings of the day, which is the most important thing, and I do believe it does have the outline or the text of the actual Eucharistic prayers. So it may already have that. But I thought mine would be just really super simple. Boom, it would be right there. And I, could have just put it into an app, and that would have been, or iBooks author and Bob's your uncle. But like I said, never did really learn those programs. So anyway, I just watched the Worldwide Developers Conference. Wasn't too impressed. Seems to me my best analogy right now for Apple is they're really spreading thin, their little minutia that, they're trying to like parse out, well, now this app will do this, and now this program will do this. And, it's sort of like, you're like taking that butter and you're just really spreading it super thin across the toast. It might be good in the long run, but it's not really going to be a real game changer, not to speak. So we'll see. We'll see. I wasn't 100% impressed. Now I want to say a shout out to Cynthia and Susan. Thank you for giving me your impressions on the Apple Watch. Because of your recommendations and a couple other people, when it becomes available to where you can actually go and buy one, then I probably will pick one up, just kind of a basic one, just to see what it's like, Again, it's kind of it's a technology that I think one guy said, it's kind of a technology that came a day late and a dollar short. It's okay. It's nothing, but it's not. That's not revolutionary, really. Now maybe it's got the potential to really do some awesome things in the future. But right now it's still kind of under development. So it's and that's the other thing about Apple products. God bless them. They have these great concepts and they can sell these ideas about their software and their products. But when you get them in real life, I'm not saying they don't work, but they don't work the way they show them on the Worldwide Developer or some of their keynote products or demonstrations. There's a lot of whether there's bugs or there's roadblocks. For example, Apple Pay. Apple Pay sounds great. Now, and I know some people have been able to use Apple Pay no problem, The problem is that my bank didn't do Apple Pay until just about a month or two ago, and the places that I go don't have NFC communications, near field communication technology, so you can't use it. Now, of course, the nugget markets did. They were really cutting edge when it came to that kind of stuff, but the stores up here in Chico, they're probably not going to see that for maybe another year or so. So Apple Pay, great idea. You can't put it into work or process here. No, it just doesn't work. So that's disappointing. I know I have a little app for Starbucks that works great, but that's not Apple Pay, and it has nothing to do with anything other than Starbucks. So, but some of the concepts are, in theory, they work, they sound great, and sometimes they kind of work. This whole handoff concept where you can start working on your phone pick it up on your iPad and then finish it off on your Mac. Does it work? Well, sort of, kind of. And I've used it, and when I was putting together a big presentation about a year ago, about a half a year ago, and I found that feature to be really, really great, because I had different times and places where I was working on this project, and having the phone and the iPad in concert with the iMac, with iCloud, I found it to be a very helpful a tool set. And it was great when it worked, but it did have some bugs. So anyway, we'll just have to wait and see. I just don't know. I mean, I like, again, you all know that I'm a big Apple aficionado. I like Apple TV a lot. I watch an awful lot of YouTube videos on Apple TV. Health and fitness, faith-based videos, some philosophy videos, history videos, exercise videos, I think I said, health and nutrition. Yeah, so there's a lot of good things out there to watch, in addition to what I'm going to talk about now. And finally, I was going to talk about the last evening's penultimate episode of Game of Thrones. Wow. I don't know if you saw that yesterday evening, but as far as a TV show goes, that was very, very, very powerful. It was heartbreaking in some regards, but it was just an absolutely pedal to the metal emotional experience. And I don't want to be a spoiler alert here. So if you're a big Game of Thrones person and you haven't seen it yet, I don't want to say anything, but you need to go check it out if you haven't seen it. But it was powerful. And I'll say this, if I can say this without giving anything away, but there was a part in last night's TV show where okay, we all know, if you know the show at all, you do know that there are no sacred cows or no sacred characters. You learned that the very first season when they offed the main character. You're going, how can you do that? You build a show around a character, a lead character, and then you off them. Now there have been in television history, the certain characters will, in real life, their real life self goes to another, they go do something else. So they have to write them off, but they want to keep the show going, and usually it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work. Because now they have the show, but they don't have the main character that drives the show. So these people, I thought, was one of the most gutsiest things I'd ever seen in my TV experience watching, is they offed the main character, in the very first episode, very first season. I'm thinking, what are they doing? But that guy, what is it, J.R.R. Martin or George R.R. Martin or whatever his name is, that guy, he's a brilliant writer, but again, taking these stories and putting them into screenplays, but anyway, so but last night was very, very, and I'll be honest, it was disturbing. Heartbreaking, I will say that. There were just a lot of heartbreaking moments in that episode last night. But then there was just this. There was something. It was glorious the way they ended that last night's season. I mean, last episode last night. I thought, I've seen a lot of TV in my life, and I have beloved TV shows and series. And I watch them over and over again. Like, I'm a big World War II person. I love Band of Brothers. I love Band of Brothers. I think it's a wonderful series. I even like the Pacific. That kind of grew up. The first time I saw it through, I wasn't that impressed, but then later I kind of got into that, and I thought that was good too. I've always been a big All Creatures Great and Small fan. Love that show. Love Midsummer Murders. Inspector Morse. A lot of it's mostly the BBC TV stuff, but I love all those series. I even like the new Endeavor, the young version of Morse. I think that's very good. Lewis. A lot of people didn't like Lewis. I actually liked Lewis a lot. I like Grant Chester for obvious reasons. In my fantasy world, I'm that handsome young guy, and tooling around on a bike in the fair English countryside. I mean, I can have a fantasy life too. I mean, it's not a bad fantasy life. But anyway, so but that Game of Thrones, and I know that there are some objectionable things to that series. I'm not going to lie about it. But it's very well written, and it's just powerful drama, and very powerful. But I've noticed the last few episodes have been interesting. They're interesting. There's no doubt about that. And once you start getting into all the different characters, which is what makes it really interesting. It's funny because sometimes there are characters you think, man, I want to see them, get their comeuppance, and then when they finally start getting their comeuppance, you kind of start thinking, well, no, wait a minute, maybe not, I don't know, but last night I was sitting there, and I was the only thing I want to say, and I'm going to shut up and probably end this video. Maybe so you can go watch last night's episode if you're able to. There was a part of me that I was just watching with my mouth dropped open going, no, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. And then all of a sudden in my mind, I'm yelling at the TV saying, and it starts with the D word. And within a few minutes, it was almost like they heard me. I couldn't believe the ending of that TV episode. That was probably one of the, it's funny in the history of TV, they talk about all these, cliffhanger ones and all these things like Dallas. I remember that was one of the really big TV shows that had this big climactic, season finale. I think that's probably where a lot of these things kind of came from. And so you'd have all these, things building up to the big season finale, and who shot JR and all that stuff. If you go back, for me, some of you probably do, what I'm talking about. So that's how they kind of dragged people into these kinds of serial kind of TV shows, and it works. It'll hook you, that's for sure. Now we live in the age where you can download the whole series, whole season, and watch it. If you're able to, for 12 hours or 13 hours. Oh my gosh, ooh, you definitely got to be doing some squats in between those videos. I'm telling you, man, you just sit there and you're just captivated and glued. But anyway, this last season has been interesting, and it's had some interesting moments, to say the least. But I have to say that in all my TV watching years, that episode I saw last night was literally something that really took my breath away. I mean, the CG graphics for a TV show are, they're just like light years ahead of what we would see, like Star Trek's, or I think when I think back about 20 years ago when I was in seminary. The Star Trek: The Next Generation was good, and then was it Voyager? I really liked Voyager a lot. I know a lot of people got into Deep Space Nine. I never did quite get into the Deep Space Nine, but I was a Next Generations and definitely Voyager. So anyway, but you know, and they had their kind of their cliffhanger things, you know, to some extent, not quite a lot, but they you know, they kind of would try to get you to watch the next season that came up. But clearly these serial TV shows, that's exactly how they, you know, keep their fan club coming back, you know, episode after episode and season after season, you know, to watch these character developments and stories unfold, and you know, and then they do bring them to some rather abrupt and brutal, you know, endings, you know. So last night was very, very powerful and kind of disturbing. But at the very end, the last episode, the last season part of it, just wow. I'm gonna go watch it again. You know, I really am. It's just like wow. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you tonight. Today, whenever you're watching this video, and let me know how you're doing. You know, what do you think? What did you think of last night's episode? Or what did you think of today's WDC Apple Developers Conference? You know, what's your take on all that? Okay, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.